Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I am here with a book haul, and it is for another used bookstore that I paid a visit to, and the bookstore is the Book Garden in Cream Ridge, New Jersey. The Book Garden's a lot like Second Time Books, which I also paid a visit to, only with the Book Garden there is, it concentrates more on paperbacks. Second Time Books is more hardcovers, but the selection is so specific and it's quite endless as well. So the way that I'm going to conduct this is I'm going to do so in three parts. The writers' books that I found, which they had quite a hearty selection. The horror fiction, and the works of literature or literary analysis. Let's start with the writing. First thing I found is Write, 10 Days to Overcome Writer's Block Period by Karen E. Peterson, PhD. And this really looks quite appealing. The strategies that she's presenting here to overcome writer's block, and she got an endorsement by Kurt Vonnegut to go forward with this, and it was dedicated to him as well. And from what I see through flipping the pages, it looks like it's going to be a fun, creative. It was well put together, and it's going to be fun to read. Next one I got was Milan Kundera's The Art of the Novel. And Kundera is known most for his writing of fiction. The Unbearable Lightness of Being, which I also got at a used bookstore, is his most notable novel. But I'm interested to I'm interested to read what he has to say about writing novels, because I always find it interesting to hear from the writer themselves as to how you should go about writing. I've read something by Richard Lehman, and it's quite brutally honest, and I got so much out of it, so I'm interested to hear what Kundera has to say. Next thing I got was the Writer's Digest Handbook of Short Story Writing, with a preface by Joyce Carol Oates, who's a very respectable figure in writing. Her works of literature tend to lean toward the horror genre, but I don't know if she can be classified as such. That would be difficult. But I currently own write a short story, writing short fiction book that Damon Knight wrote, and Damon Knight was known probably most for writing To Serve Man, which was adapted into an episode of The Twilight Zone. But this is going to be interesting to go through, especially since a lot of people are familiar with at least Reader's Digest, if not Writer's Digest as well. And I'm really excited to see what I get out of this. Next things I got, these are the horror novels. I'm going to be starting a James Herbert collection, so I found The Fog and Moon. These are quite intriguing because they have to do with that supernatural element that does not always take the form of material form. That doesn't always take that material form, and the question of how to tackle it is what remains at hand. I also picked up two Ramsey Campbell novels. I was introduced to him in the horror anthologies that Stephen Jones puts together. And I really want to get into him. I got The Parasite and The Hungry Moon. I also picked up Stinger by Robert McCammon. And I currently, from McCammon, I own Mystery Walk, Swan Song, Boy's Life, and Gone South. So I'm really looking to get into this. McCammon does not identify as a horror fiction writer, and a lot of that contributed to him walking away from writing for a period of time. He's since returned, so that's something I'm happy about. And I'm continuing with my Bentley Little collection, and I picked up Dispatch. And it's interesting that it has to do with somebody who has a gift for writing, and it is quite, and in a pretty creepy way, his writing really does wonders. And then somebody gives him an offering to write letters for a living because of the power that his letters have had in the past. But the horror comes with this particular job, and it may be more than he can handle. And now on to the more traditional fiction. I got The Frogs by Aristophanes. I was introduced to this particular play by Jean from Jean Bookish Thoughts. I'll leave a link down to her channel below. And it seems like it is this comedic, absurdist work about people that are looking to explore the lives of the literary giants from before. I'm really curious to see who they celebrate during this period of time, because this is an ancient work of literature in itself, before the Common Era. So it would be interesting to see the particular point of view. How Homer and those other writers were viewed back in that day. And this particular edition was translated by Richmond Lattimore. The next thing I picked up was the Oresteian Trilogy, which includes Agamemnon, the Choephori, and the Eumenides, which was written by Aeschylus and translated by Philip Vellacott. These were plays that Aeschylus put together. He's another figure in ancient world literature, and I was partly inspired to pick this up after watching Jean from Jean Bookish Thoughts, encouraging people to explore ancient world literature and what it has to offer. But I was also inspired by Robert F. Kennedy and his mention to Aeschylus being a favorite poet of his when he gave that moving speech announcing the death of Dr. Martin Luther King due to murder. But either way, I'm really curious to read into Aeschylus and the powerful things that he has to say through his playwriting. Next thing I got was the pocketbook of O. Henry stories. O. Henry's someone that I really have a great curiosity for. I read some of his short stories in middle school, and I really want to explore them much more, and especially so many of the other things he has to offer. He definitely sticks out. Next thing I got was Cat and Mouse by Gunter Grass, translated by Ralph Manheim. Cat and Mouse is the direct sequel to The Tin Drum in the Danzig trilogy, and it has to do with the someone living in the post-Second World War, and he has a physical deformity. I would say he's the same one from the Tin Drum, and I'm really looking forward to reading anything by Gunter Grass, and I'm going to probably start with the Tin Drum, but I should eventually get to this particular work as well. And good thing is, most of the books were at most $5. I think the most expensive one I picked up was $4. I got the novel by James A. Michener. I'm continuing my Michener collection, and in this case, this particular novel explores the struggles of being a novel writer and trying to make a name for oneself. I picked up the Algiers Motel Incident by John Hersey. I currently own Hiroshima, and this one explores a shooting involving black citizens, and it's very reflective to the shootings that are taking place today, many of which involve black victims. And the last thing I got was Frost, the Poet and His Poetry, written by David A. Sohn and Richard H. Tyre. I'm really looking to delve into this because Robert Frost is perhaps the great American poet in my mind, and I'm really looking to hear about what these men have to say about Frost's most notable works. I was looking through here, and there is discussion about The Road Not Taken, Mending Wall, and so many of his other noteworthy works. The only one one of them that I didn't see in here was one that really stuck out to me, and that was Home Burial. But I feel that I'm going to get a nice amount out of this, so I'm quite excited, nevertheless. Here we go. Here is what I got from the Book Garden. I highly encourage you to check them out. Just like Second Time Books, it is a hidden gem, but they deserve the recognition and the attention either way. And unlike Second Time Books, Book Garden does not have an online presence when it comes to online shopping. Thank you for tuning into this video, and for now and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.